对于英雄联盟的观众来说，夏天总是开始的非常准时。不管你是老玩家还是新入坑，我都可以告诉你，这个夏天注定不会平凡。
FPX 的作战状态还很不错，弗兰躲在旁边疯狂走位，中单收到一个4杀，我要5杀，给我5杀。
跳上来了，克斯锤了以后，枪形态3连炮打到这一滴血，闪现点一下就拿下了 POS 人头。
对于那些有冲劲的年轻人，还有重获新生的队伍来说，这是一个扶摇直上的机会。也许概率和积分不站在他们这边，但却有着鲜活的奇迹可以供他们参考。
闪过去没有看到，雷克赛这里是没有听到拉夫的。哎呦，他2级应该是没有 E 的，闪现一勾，这个雷克赛勾的好厉害啊！杰杰刚才好赶啊！
这边抢了一个2，一个 QQ 到，这波有红 buff， 给了一个黑盾之后，这一波打出印记最后一下，1血。
而对于那些强者和传统豪门来说，我想大可不必过于担心，他们一定早就做好了放手一搏的准备。1年1次的盛会，没有人愿意缺席。
Hello everyone, it is the final day of week 3 of the LPL. That doesn't mean the fun ends. We've got some fiery matchups coming up. First up, of course, FPX versus WE here in the Xiye Arena. Now, FPX have been having one hell of a series, but WE, they've got the home court advantage. They've got everyone rooting for them here in the arena. The fans every single time are going to come out to support these players in front of you here, and everyone is just preparing for this series. They want to give it their best shot. Post, of course, looking as serious as ever as he gets ready for the series. But WE have a lot up against them. They have not won a series yet, but FPX are completely undefeated so far. So they look so serious, so ready to pick up their first series win. Mystic, of course, it is Father's Day, so I got to wish him a happy Father's Day, at least for those of us in the US and Canada. But they're going to be going up against FPX, who, of course, last split #1 in the regular seasons, and they've got tons of fans to show for it. And, of course, why wouldn't they? Doinb has been performing absolutely amazingly, as has LWX. Doinb, though, he's not as excited about this matchup. He's just taking a quick little nap. But we're going to be getting ready. Welcome to the LPL. It is the last day of week 3. As we said, my name is Matt Niberian Daniel, joined here by the lovely Clement Chu. And Clement, we get to see FPX again. We get to see Suni again. Two undefeated teams.
That was not Doinb taking a nap, and that was not his wife either. So I wonder what's going on there, but I think he's going to be checked there.
Yeah, I was just looking at him like, that's got to be Doinb. It says Doinb on the shirt, so.
It was Doinb. It was Doinb. He just wasn't doing what you were saying he was doing. Welcome everyone back. You know, WE, they have their motto, keep your dreams alive, and we want to see that happen in Xi'an. So far, not a great start of the split, going down 0-3. They've been here before, but we want to see some consistency here, and we want to see them actually take on FPX in an even footing.
Before we get to see that, before we get to talk about that matchup, let's take a look at the standings, because we've got a little bit of a surprise coming in from last night. Of course, you can see Invictus Gaming, they picked up a series win. They're now in 9th place. Not exactly where we wanted to see our world champions and MSI representatives, but they did pick up the win in the end over EDG.
And that's good news for them, because Ballen is coming back onto the roster. They didn't play with Rookie yesterday, but with Ballen back, they're able to take down EDG, and they're now further ahead of SKT in the recovery race. Yay! Yeah. 45% win rate. That's better than 25.
I'm not sure that's something we should be rooting for them for, Clement, but of course, let's take a look at today's matches, because we're not going to be seeing Invictus Gaming at all. Of course, it will be FPX versus WE here in the Xi'an Arena, and then later on, the e-commerce wars with Suning versus JDG in JDG's Beijing Arena. Now, Clement, let's take it down to FPX versus WE.
Because FPX has been the best performing team in the split so far. 0 games dropped. They've won all their matches, and they haven't even dropped a single small game right here. And a lot of their team members are doing great. If you look at LWX, he's anchoring the team in damage, 29%. If you look at GimGoon, he's at standout MVP performances, but I still want to bring it back to Doinb. I think Doinb is the reason this team plays the style they play. He is the main, the shell that FPX basically thrives under, and he gives form to this team. And the way he's doing it is with his dark technologies. We have to take a look at the champion pool that Doinb has been running so far. Only a single mage pick in the Rise. Everything else has been basically his own meta. He's played the Lulu once as well, but it's mainly been Renekton and Nautilus and Aurelia. And we've talked to Doinb before about why he plays this style. He says bruisers are stronger early, and since I'm the shot caller on the team, I can take that priority in the lane and take it to the side lanes. And that's exactly what FPX have been doing. Those Nautilus roams into the top, into the bottom side have just been absolutely devastating for opponents early on. And in your first rotation, if you ever find a side lane pushed in, you know that Doinb and Tain are coming in to finish the job. And this is exactly what FPX have been doing. We saw in the top lane, it's a Lulu priority with Tain to go in the top side. And once again, we have Nautilus. I think this is probably the deadliest champion to have roaming on the map. He packs so much crowd control. That's 850 range on the death charge. Very easy to follow up with. And when he gets ahead, his AP ratios are actually pretty sick. This is against Kuro. He couldn't do anything. That was a pure CC lock into dead Kuro. So FPX, the only way you're going to defeat this team is if you can push Doinb back into his own tower, is if you can win the 2v2. In the spring split, FPX were 13-2 in their own record. The only teams that were able to defeat them were RNG and Top Esports, and they both did it the same way. They kept Doinb down. Now it's WE's turn to see if they can follow that path.
It's problematic, though, because you have Tain there in the jungle, and the reason Doinb goes for these picks that have the high mid lane priority, he said this in our interview face-to-face. It's on our YouTube. Check it out with this guy. He's the interviewer. Anyways, the reason he likes to pick those things is because it gives him that synergy with Tain. It allows the two of them to control the map better. So that's a problem for WE, because we've been talking about it a little bit, and WE have been running into a little bit of an issue so far in the split.
Yeah, WE, their problem is still they're very inconsistent. They've ran 3 different lineups in the past 3 games, and their bottom lane has never run the same duo ever. So we're not talking a lot about W because we're not even sure W know which direction they want to go. This is a meta that's very much defined by early game priority and early game skirmishes. However, W have been traditionally known as this 35-minute Elder Dragon, late game teamfight type of composition. There's a lot of players moving in and out. We had a 9-5-7 spotting, which we haven't seen throughout the entire split. And we also had someone sit in for Mystic, Zhou Meng, which means old dreams in Chinese. So a lot of moving parts on this roster. We're not really sure what they're doing, but what I want to see is at least a series where they can give us a cohesive structure to how this team is going to approach the game and how they're going to find wins. That's what we're waiting for. It's not a great position to be, but we have to be honest to you. WE, so far they look lost.
A little bit, and they're just throwing everything at the kitchen sink at this problem to try and solve it. But the question here, I mean, when you look at WE last season, of course, you had Mystic as the reliable carry. He doesn't seem to have been able to pull that off so much so far this split. And it brings up questions that are interesting for this series because we know how you want to take down FPX. You need to go for that mid-jungle 2v2 duo, and you have beishang and xiye, who are perfectly capable in the mid and jungle position. xiye, absolutely crazy mid laner, but the question is, when you have a problem like this, it's not a structural problem, it's an identity problem. And when you're trying to figure that out, do you take a series like this and say, okay, we're going for the win in this series, we're going to go for the mid lane 2v2, or do you say, we really need to nail down our fundamental style, we need to figure out what roster we're running? They ran in 9-5-7, guys, and yes, he is like an old player, he's a famous player, but there's a reason they didn't play him all of last split, and the fact that they're bringing him in now shows to me that WE might not really be confident in what they're doing, and I want to know what they're going to decide to do for this.
So WE, their strongest point is definitely not the mid-jungle yet. You can see on your screen, it will be Pose playing today instead of 9-5-7. But it is what needs to be done inside the matchup itself. If you're going up against FPX, the track record shows quite clearly that the way to defeat them is you have to be able to put Doinb down. You have to be able to make him a non-factor in this early game. However, what W has been traditionally best at, and if you look at how they got that 6-match winning streak in the previous split, has been going back to Mystic. Has been that Caitlyn, has been that Jinx, has been that Xiye pick. So I think W, if they want to trump FPX, they have to focus on the former, but I'm happy if they do the later. I'm honestly, at this point, if W can show me a series where they actually showcase their strengths, I'm happy.
We just want to see WE succeed, because last split it took until the 9.4 patch when 80 carries really came back into it for them to have success. But FPX have not had that problem. They have an incredibly consistent lineup. They have not brought in substitutions. It's always GimGoon. It's always Tain, always Doinb and Crisp and LWX. This team has been the definition of consistency outside of playoffs.
There's a Chinese saying, they're like a fish in water. And this patch fits them so well. It's all about early aggression. There's a lot of priority you can pick up. Renekton's great in the mid lane. There's Sivir in the bot. They're the biggest players of Yuumi so far as well. So there's a lot of things that incentivize chasing people around, that incentivize making plays by leaving your lane. FPX, that's exactly what they want to do. And look at their coach right now. It's Warhorse on the team. Every Flash Wolf coach currently that has come to the LPL is now running a team that has not been defeated in matches. Like, Flash Wolf coaches are hot commodities. Get them while they last. It was basically the thought process here.
But FPX, I want to see a little bit more from them this series because they were finally taken to a little bit of a challenging series versus Rogue Warriors.
Yes.
I'm not going to say that it was a close series necessarily because Game 2 was closed up very quickly, but Rogue Warriors were able to keep it a very tight game in game number 1, bringing it to an over 30-minute game. And for FPX, who, like you said, go for that aggressive early game, go for so much dominance, so much damage in the early stages, that is significant.
It definitely is, and I think it shows you another way potentially to beat FPX. The FPX composition, while they have a lot of priority early with Bruisers mid, Bruisers typically do fall off later in the game. They can't tank and deal damage at the same time, and they're not the best at wave clearing either. So when you see Rogue Warriors, they're able to survive some early skirmishes and take it to the late game where Uji was becoming a much stronger player on the Kai'Sa, then that's when they actually had a chance to defeat FPX. So that may be a potential way that WE can approach this game, still go back to that big 80-centric type of team style that they like to play. The bottom line is, however, you still need to survive the early contact that you will inevitably face against FPX.
Well, how are they going to be able to do that? Because we know what gave success to WE last split, and that was when the 80 carry changes came through, those crit 80 carries were buffed, and the carry style where you could just get Mystic ahead and be like, okay, buddy, carry us, take us home. With the early aggression coming in now, that doesn't feel like as much of an option, so how do we even make it to that point?
So I think there's a couple crucial picks right here. The number one thing is the Sivir. The Sivir gives you lane priority. It scales well into the late game, and I think Mystic is actually a great Sivir player. If he can get that champion in the earlier rotations, he can stave off a lot of those bottom lane dives that we've been looking at. You can't dive someone when there isn't a minion wave there. That's a prerequisite for actually making the FPX style work. So I would like to see Mystic on that pick. I think it's crucial in this matchup. And the other point would be I want to see more synergy between beishang and xiye. Now, beishang has been known as a great ganking jungler before. We know all about his Aatrox, his Lee Sin, those style of champions that can really take another person out early, that can give you level 2 ganks, things like that. You do need to play a little bit of cheese when FPX is their bread and butter is cheese. So so you have to cheese them back a little, and I think those are the two things I'm going to be looking at. Just have wave clear potential in the bot side. Make sure that Mystic, at least, even if he loses wave priority, he's going to be able to clear his waves and scale later into the game. And second of all, just make sure that beishang and xiye do have a fighting chance against Doinb and Tain.
We could see that Yuumi pick coming as well there for WE. That combo would be really lethal because you can't bot lane dive if there's one person there who solo cleared the wave with 2 items. So if they can ever get to that point, that's really exciting. And just on a sidebar note, I'm really sad that FPX undyed all their hair. Or re-dyed it black, rather. GimGoon still has like the sort of ochre color. He's got like a little bit of red in the black. But Doinb's no longer blonde. Crisp had dyed his hair like hot pink. I was like, oh man, can't wait for next split. Can't wait to see that. That's going to look so great on stage. And then they walk out just now. It's like, we're back to black hair. Sorry.
To give a little bit of context, they dyed their hair when they secured the #1 spot in the regular season during Spring Split, and they were like, you know, if we get to do this, we're gonna make ourselves look special. But then they dropped off to JD Gaming, like, well, we're going back. We're going back to what took us here. So they all went back. And interesting enough, we had an interview with Doinb where he said the hair color that brought him the most success was actually blonde. When he has blonde hair, it's like Gunners on Xiaohu, basically. It's like, it gives you a special aura or something. And I think gamers are very superstitious when it comes to these things.
Well, then I've got just one question. Doinb, what are you doing, man? Why do you have the black hair again if you say the blonde brings you so much success? But honestly, FPX so far, they've been finding exactly as much success as they've been used to last split, and so far, undefeated. And that's got to feel good, especially to start off the split against the people who knocked you out of playoffs, who ended up in the finals instead of you, JD Gaming, who we are going to see later tonight, e-commerce wars, stick around for the second series. It's got to feel good, and it's got to be a great start to the split. But my question is momentum. That's my big concern here, because we see, especially with Suning last split. Now, I'm not saying this is a problem for FPX because they feel a lot more consistent than Suning did, but it definitely was a problem where Suning were just running through every matchup, just absolutely stomping. They were second in the standings. We were like, yes, this is what we want. But FPX didn't hit that barrier, but they might.
Realistically, FPX only have, like you were calling them barriers, I think they only have 3. Number 1, RNG. Because RNG, Karsa, Xia, who have been able to shut Doinb down in the style we were talking about, they are the antithesis to how FPX like to play their game. That's the one that I would have to keep my eyes open. I think if they can take down RNG, then I become a believer. But if not, RNG is always going to be there to block FPX's road. Uzi also has a great matchup against LWX historically. So RNG is going to be the big one, the tough one to beat. Second of all, I think it will go down to Top Esports currently, because Top Esports, they're another team. The synergy between Xiong and Knight is able to shut down Doinb and Tain. They're much more confrontational, and I think if you're just talking about a solo perspective, I would still give that matchup over to Knight. So that's the second team I think they really need to beat. And the third one is Invictus Gaming for me. World champions went to MSI. Now, they didn't meet each other in the playoffs, but I believe there will be a big barrier as well. It's well known that Rookie has always been able to get the better matchup against Doinb. He's one of those tormentors of Doinb's playoff careers. So those are the 3 teams I'm looking at. But to be honest, against anyone else, I'm so confident in FPX will just be able to take it. They finished games underneath 30 minutes so far this split. They've been absolutely dominating. The only hiccup that they've had has been against Rogue Warriors, and even then it was still a clean 2-0.
Yeah, the Rogue Warriors series was a little bit of a hitch in the road, but I think Warhorse is going to nail that one down through here, because a lot of it, I feel like the problems were mostly just FPX were doing a little bit too much FPXing, if that makes sense. They were like, oh, man, Huatian, he's low. We're just going to go in for it, forgetting Pop Blossom, forgetting that he had that city, forgetting to even look for the enemy team. So it was a few things where they were just like, yes, let's fight. And I think if they're able to temper their aggression, control it a little bit more, use it as a weapon instead of a weapon and a weakness, I think we're going to see a lot of success coming out from FPX. But we have the pick bans coming out. WE already banning Rise and Sejuani, with FPX answering with Silas and Jace.
Really interesting. This is going to be the first game that FPX actually play on the blue side. Now, taking a look at the champion selections, FPX does have side select. So this is the first time that they, for themselves, has selected this side to play on. Traditionally, they've been a purely red side, always Nautilus in the first rotation, and try to fool people since they have Nautilus mid as well. So interesting things being tried right here. FPX have a different read on the meta right now since it's 9.11, and they're changing their draft strategy.
Now they are going to secure that Aatrox there in the top lane, potentially for GimGoon, but of course it can be flexed as well. But WE, more importantly, they've gotten the Yuumi, they've gotten the Nico. This Yuumi could go with a Sivir, for example, but the Nico has flex potential as well.
Yeah, the Nico has just been doing so well in the LPL. We've seen so many times where she's able to swap around the, basically take back the team fight win, and she's great as a flex picks as well. For FPX, my biggest question here is, do you actually take away the Sivir? We've seen Sivir plus Yuumi, a very strong combination. You're able to run people down. The chase potential is insane, and also Sivir gives you that lane priority when you're up with Yuumi. Yuumi, she does not pack wave clear herself, but when you have the Sivir with her, you can freely push in the waves. So I think Sivir is up on the grabs. I think she's probably the best champion right here. But FPX are going to go down a different route.
Very aggressive lane coming in with the Lux-Lucian combo that is so much damage coming out in the early game.
Okay, interestingly enough, so Lucian himself against Sivir actually has a very strong matchup. It's about 55 to 45 right now, but when you have the when you look overall in the competitive scene, then Sivir actually has a much higher win rate. The potential for Sivir to outdamage Lucian in the later phase of the game is still incredibly high. And so they're not going to go for the Sivir either from WE side. Instead, they're going to go for the Ezreal. Now, Ezreal plus Yuumi has not been the most popular combination in terms of pairing with Yuumis. The main issue here is that you don't actually have wave push. It's very safe. In the late game, it's super obnoxious. It's almost impossible to then nail the Ezreal down, but you're giving up lane priority here. So WE need to shore up their mid lane to ensure that they're not going to get dove on.
This seems a little bit counter to the strategy we set out as a potential for WE here, because you want that safety in the bottom lane, but if you're going to give away FPX, you give them the Lux, you give them the Lucian. That is so much damage early. They have so much wave clear on the back of it as well.
And you can see right now, W are very worried about those tower dives coming in. They're taking away the two best champions for that job, the Elise and the Gragas. If you allow those champions to go into your inner tribe rush, and Yuumi and Ezreal are sitting beneath the tower, they're sitting ducks. They're instantly going to die. So it's forcing so many bans away from WE. I'm actually quite surprised by this type of a draft strategy. I feel like you're putting yourself in a weak position, and then you're having to shore up your bans and using those bans to then make yourself sure that your bot lane is safe.
It's interesting as well, because in this draft so far, we've had 6 jungle bans already, so it's really clinching down on the champion pools of both of these junglers. However, WE, beishang going to be able to pick up the Xin Zhao. The last split, he performed very admirably on this, so it's a good pickup here for WE.
And it's exactly what they need to rely on. Their bot lane's not going to have any wave clear potential. They're not going to be able to decide when they want to fight, so they need their mid lane to do that for them. And if you look at the draft right now, it's pretty obvious that soul lane counter is going to drop to xiye. He's going to be able to decide which champion he picks up. For FPX right now, Aurelia has typically been their mid lane pick, but GimGoon can also play it as well. So it's still a lot of flex potential. Wow!
Oh, okay. Even after the changes to Karthus, they're going to be picking him up.
That is very interesting. Now, Karthus has been nerfed quite heavily. The ult damage has been taken down quite a bit. But if you're scaling towards, you're going to be undisrupted towards the scaling, and he's still great. However, I'm not sure that's the case in this side. He's going up against a Xin Zhao, who's going to have an easy time against the Karthus if he ever finds him.
I feel like this is also counter to FPX's style so far, because we know them to be that early aggressive team, that jungle mid 2v2 team. And Karthus, I feel like that's not as much his strength as it is someone's like Xin.
It's also the first time that we're going to see a Karthus being played in the LPL this split. We have seen it from Ning in prior splits, but he was the only one, and that seemed like a happy game. This time it's for real. FPX going for the Karthus. It really has not been a popular champion in the LPL whatsoever. We play around lane priority into jungle invades so often that a champion like Karthus, most of the time it's seen as a liability. So I'm very curious on what FPX's thought process here is.
I feel like there's the potential that this is FPX. I hate the term limit testing because it sort of becomes a meme a little bit, but there is the potential that they're seeing how far can we take this, how far can we take changing up our draft, changing up our strategy before it becomes a problem for us.
Yeah, definitely something new coming out from this squad, but taking a look over at WE and the drafts both sides have, they should have a winning top side with that Fiora counterpick against the Aatrox. Also, the Xin Zhao's not going to have the same lane impact as the Karthus on the other side. I would say that I actually favor W's composition quite a lot. I think they have a better solo lane situation. They have something to scale up towards with the Ezreal and Yuumi composition. So WE coming out with exactly what they want. And for FPX, on the other hand, this one is if they get an early skirmish, if they can get all of their team members involved, then maybe they can take that down. But there is a lot more pressure on their side.
Sounds like for FPX, this is a lot riding on this composition. They need to execute cleanly. They need to execute carefully. They need to execute well as we get here into game number 1 of FPX versus WE.
That was an RNG chant.
No!
And the LGD chant, of course, follows.
You can't go for a 4th, man. That's against the rules. You pick your 3rd, you stick with it.
you must always finish with an LGD chant. That's a rule. That's somewhere in the contracts for these stadiums.
I think they're just happy that we got into games so quick, because normally we don't get to see what's actually happening till like a minute 20. But we got in so early, they're like, we can fit in another chant. We can go for it. Of course, it looks like Lux will not be going for the Aftershock, instead picking up the Guardian here in the bottom lane.
Now that's quite typical for Luxes. If you're going up against a range matchup, then the Guardian makes a lot more sense. It's useful in poke. But if you're going up against a melee matchup, then you just want the Aftershock to make sure the enemy melee champion is not going to then engage on you. So everything's quite typical here. I think the only thing that probably needs a little bit of introduction is that we are seeing the Dark Harvest come out for Karthus. Makes him a lot more deadly when he's calling that Requiem. You want to be finishing off people on low health with that ultimate anyway.
Going to have to rely on it quite heavily after the AP ratio nerfs down to 65%. So a little bit of a hit there onto Karthus, but just his ultimate, you know, his Q's still working, Defile's still there. So he has the opportunity, but beishang just going to be going down towards this bottom side of the map, as is Tain. A little bit low on mana, but he's going to keep going for the clear, probably hit level 3. And might be bottom lane for both of these junglers at this point, it looks like.
Yeah, I think the Xin Zhao should still be able to take down both of the Scuttles quite easily. They do have lane priority in the mid lane, and they're winning the trades quite heavily in the bot side as well. So if I'm Tain, I'm just farming this one out. Wait till I get back, get a couple wards on the map. I'm not looking to do anything aggressive. So this will cause FPX. I think most of their lanes will have to play a little bit more defensive in the early laning phase. I don't expect them to go super aggressive for trades. They don't really know where the Xin Zhao is either. And you can see in the top side, GimGoon's definitely thinking ahead. He's keeping the wave close to the chest.
Well, that brings up an interesting question then, Clement, because we know that top lane not exactly favored there for GimGoon with this matchup. Which lanes are still going to be happy with this isolation without the jungler, and which ones are going to be struggling a little bit more?
Well, they'll all be struggling. Priority does not exist when you're playing 3v2. So this is going to be an issue for a while. At least they do spot beishang in the top side right now, so I do expect bot to play a little bit more aggressive. But can Tain survive this?
Oh, he has to flash away, but there's the flash from beishang as well. beishang's really low. The Defile not going to be able to pick him up. First blood goes over to xiye, and it doesn't look like FPX are going to be able to find anything off the back of this. They know beishang is low in the jungle, but can they find him? GimGoon may have spotted him out. Doinb's looking for it here on the backside. Infernal Chains goes down onto beishang. Oh! The flash in, the kill. Doinb and GimGoon still fighting this one. Doinb has the Conqueror proc. He's looking for xiye. The Ignite's already down. The damage from Doinb, will it be enough? xiye so low. He just needs one more. The Q's up. Blade Surge is in. Flawless duet in just a second, but the stun not going to be far enough. Has the Defiant Dance, but he's not going to be able to use that to get the slow. xiye will make it out alive, but worse for wear.
That was FPX's solo lanes outplaying the situation. They land the Infernal Chains. Doinb gets the kill back. Now, to the start of this fight, I actually don't recommend this from Tain. If you look at his lane priority, he's not supposed to be able to fight this. And indeed, when you see xiye coming in, goes up with the flash just to try and get land this skill shot, that's when you know that Tain probably made a mistake right here. But look at what beishang's position is. beishang, he cannot go past the blue ramp, so he has to walk towards the top side. And GimGoon with a great find right there. They give the kill over to Doinb. That resets his Blade Surge, and he's almost able to take down xiye as well. And that actually really hurt xiye because the wave was left in this situation where he was bleeding out on minions. He had the priority earlier on, but if you move on that priority and you don't make anything happen with it, then oftentimes you'll find your wave is now eating up the enemy minions, and you're not getting any EXP from that. So that was actually quite a good situation for FPX overall. I feel like now they kind of reverse the situation in the mid lane. Aurelia's going to be able to quickly leapfrog over the Nico, where she's going to be able to dictate more about where the fights are taken.
Well, this is what we talked about we wanted to see here from FPX, right? We want to see these early skirmishes, get them a little bit of a lead. And Tain, yeah, he died, but he's not all that worse for wear at this point. He may even be able to pick up a Scuttle here, which normally he wouldn't really be able to contest against beishang. Looks like he will be able to pick that one up with beishang, even here on the bottom side of the map.
And this is what we're talking about. Against FPX, most important thing is you have to shut down Doinb. In that match, didn't really happen. With the Tiamat so early on, he's going to be able to shove these waves quite easily. I think xiye is going to have to play super safe. You can already see the level lead coming out from Doinb, despite xiye having the TP advantage.
Oh, looks like a little bit of an engage here in the top side. Conqueror's been procced by Post, and he's going to go back in, but GimGoon gets good grasp proc, heal himself up. Now my question, Clement, if we're looking that beishang kind of got behind in the mid lane 2v2, are they still going to be going for this strategy? Or are they going to have to switch it up, look towards the side lanes, maybe try and put some pressure down onto Mystic?
I think it's still controllable. It's just that, okay, you're going to have to pay more attention when Doinb starts to roam. But I think for the most part, beishang should still be able to deal damage and have the priority over Tain. Tian's going to have to be very careful. The only time that he's going to be able to walk up towards River is when he knows Doinb has his back.
Post taking a lot of damage in these trades, and GimGoon doing pretty admirably, waiting out the timings for the grass, able to get trades, doing pretty well against Post.
Yeah, the key thing about GimGoon playing this matchup right here, he's never been hit by the riposte. He's always been able to use his E to dodge out of the counter attack from the riposte, and no hard CC onto him. He will be able to continue to win out that trade.
Doinb going to get spotted by the control ward there, but that's not going to matter a whole lot. What's really fun about this one is we talk about GimGoon a lot, and he's like, he's a pretty strong weak side top laner. Well, when you have no strong sides because your jungle isn't doing a whole lot, that's who you want to have in your top lane. GimGoon having a great time up there, only down about 10 CS at this point. But Dragon maybe on the field, there's a ward that went down from the bottom lane from WE, so they're aware that this could be a contention point in a few minutes. Karthus, of course, does a ton of damage to those neutral objectives.
Early Dragon fights is something that W might not necessarily want to take at this point. Their mid's going to be late, which means they're going to have to walk into a Aurelia. Not an enviable situation by any means. Now this is pretty obvious that it's not actually missing here.
But there's the stun going down onto xiye. Follows up from Tain. Pop Blossom used defensively here, but Doinb dives back in. He doesn't care. He's getting chased down. beishang will pick up the kill, but can Tain find the return? Getting a little bit of damage down, but it's not going to be enough. Requiem will not follow.
Yeah, beishang not willing to trade kills over there. He could go in and take down the Karthus, but of course the Karthus should be able to find something back and also manipulate the wave. So he's going to stay alive. And look what he's doing right now. He's clearing out the wave for his mid laner. At least make sure that it's going to be in a position where they're not frozen.
In the meantime, though, look at Tain. He's trying to get the scuttle. Will pick it up. A little bit of a collapse coming in here from WE. They get the slow prowling projectile. Final chapter flashed away from by Tain, but the true shot barrage from Mystic.
Good snipe. Good snipe. And that was very aggressive from Mystic right there. They used the prowling projectile quite well. It extends your range if the anchor moves forward. So you can actually get a better range indicator if you have your AD carry that has that gap closer, and that was a very good use of it there.
GimGoon looking for a fight up here in the top lane as Doinb has roamed up, but he's going to go head back towards the mid lane. Despite the roam, still up 10 CS, so this really has been a great turn here by FPX, as we said, resetting the lane significantly, it feels, in Doinb's favor.
Yeah, and they're looking to do
they're really aggressive for this one.
Let's see if Post can get a perfect riposte.
He has flash available. It's not going to land. Flawless duet will get the stun. Post now has the grand challenge issued onto GimGoon, but it's not going to matter. The heal's going to land. GimGoon in a little bit of trouble. He will get taken down. Post once again with the mechanical outplay survives, and now Mystic going to be chasing down onto Doinb. FPX have bit off way more than they can chew. They lose 2 and find nothing.
They get the Requiem burned as well. That was insane from Pose. Now he didn't use the W as soon as he got the chance. Instead, the way he read that play was, I need to get the healing first. Really smart play there. He danced around his target. He got that grand challenge to get his HP up and then was able to outplay. Good timing from W as well. That roam was picture perfect. You know, they just an E forward instantly into the slow and they get both kills down.
A little bit over-aggressive there from FPX, it feels like. And, of course, they didn't blow any flashes there in that dive, so at the very least they'll have those, they'll have the pressure. But when you don't have a jungler who's capable of making these early ganks. Now, FPX trying to get the first turret down here, but beishang has picked up the Rift Herald on the top side of the map already at the 10-minute mark. So he's going to be dropping that there, and it's going to be a race for the tower. It's looking like one that WE is going to win quite easily.
As long as this lands, they should get it. Everyone's clearing out just to give Mystic that solo gold. 610. There you go.
Now this is a problem, Clement, because this is what WE want. They want to get Mystic ahead. They want to scale into that later stages of the game. And sure, Tain was able to pick up the Mountain Drake, and that'll have implications when it comes around to Baron, when it comes around to more Dragons. But for the time being, WE are in the position they want.
And the amount of priority they're getting from this push is just massive. Look at Doinb. He's forced to come down and clear out the wave, but at the meantime, the mid lane is also open to xiye. So they're going to have to burn another teleport just to keep their towers up. A great trade by FPX. That's definitely 100% in their favor. Now, just to look at this trade again, I think that FPX, I thought that they had it because they found the early stun onto Pose, but it didn't look like it was the case. Doinb was on tanking duty, and that grand challenge from Pose was just so smart. He got the early healing down as soon as possible, held on to his riposte for a long time. That's just way over aggressive from FPX. If you look at the HP bar there, look, even the fans can't believe it. Oh my god, did you see that play from Pose? He was above 60% HP, and the burst damage wasn't really enough to take him down low.
It's little moments like these that make Post pretty impressive to me, because I wouldn't rate him in the top of our top laners here in the LPL, but I would say he has these mechanical moments that are just so beautiful like that one. And now, blue buff being contested here. beishang, he's going in with a really aggressive dive, has already burned the flash. Tian's still alive, but Doinb's in a whole lot of trouble. He's burned the ultimate, has no way out of this. Final chapter won't find him. How long can Doinb survive? Gets the blast plant over the wall, but Mystic is chasing down. Doesn't seem like he will be able to get out of this one. Mystic should be able to find the kill quite easily, especially with the Iceborne Gauntlet. Sorry, Doinb.
Nothing he can do here, just trying to clear up the waves. Maybe he can get a stun.
Able to get the stun, but I don't know what else he'll be able to find here. All he's going to do is stall. Oh, okay. He's stalling for time as best he can. He's dead, right? But that was pretty impressive in the meantime. They might be able to find a pick in the mid lane down. That's missing, gone. LWX will finally pick up a kill, but WE at 13 minutes into the game are up 2.5k gold.
Yeah, a lot of control on this map here, and FPX, that's the weakness of the card base. You're not really expected to win early skirmishes. When a Xin Zhao goes your way, you have to get out of his way. Oh, finally a stun. Post finds it onto GimGoon.
GimGoon is just trying to position on the side of the wall so the Grand Challenge won't find him. Has to jump over the wall. He has flash still available. I think GimGoon's going to get out of this one.
He had no vision over that wall. That was pure blind luck. He went over the wall as Xin Zhao audacious charged over. Oh my god, this guy should be, I would go to the lottery booth right now because that was insanely lucky from GimGoon.
Really well played, though. That was the only way he was going to get out of that one alive. So at the very least, GimGoon will keep his life. And it was good positioning against the wall as well. I wonder if we'll see that replay. But LWX getting poked down really heavily under the tower. And this is the strength of WE's composition. They just have poked for days from missing Mystic and xiye.
And that's just such a punishing poke composition you have there. The Nico, the Ezreal, all able to deal damage from afar. Let's watch this again. There is zero vision coming in from FPX's side. How does he actually get the timer on that? That is so insane. And good guy Gromp doesn't take him down either.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful there from GimGoon. And I was impressed just by standing exactly next to the wall, so there's no way to get the Grand Challenge off, and then he does that. So GimGoon, pretty impressive despite his kill feed. 0, 1, and 1 currently on the Aatrox, has not picked up his first item, but if you look down into the bottom lane at Mystic, WE have the potential to fight here. You have 2 items already completed on the Ezreal thanks to those turret plates in the top lane, thanks to the kills he's been able to pick up. So this bottom lane here has scaled into quite the force.
Yeah, and this is a point where the Lucian can't really deal with the Ezreal. Already with the armor and Iceborne Gauntlet, that means Ezreal's just going to have lane priority from this point on. And we've seen how this plays out quite often. You lose your mid tower, and then Force goes into other lanes.
Post catching GimGoon, it's the same story once again, just the chapters are rearranged, but this time GimGoon, he might have the denouement. He gets taken down by Post. not having a fun time up here in this top lane, and Post is starting to heavily win this 1v1 matchup. FPX are here trying to pick off Post, but it's just Tain and Chris.
Pretty healthy.
They need to land the CC, and they need to kill him quick. They will find the light binding, but that's a lot of damage on the Post. He's trying the best to find the vitals. He's got the riposte as well. He's got so much healing. Might be able to find Tain. He takes down Tain. The ultimate will finally make him fall, but Post on this Fiora, 3-1-2, playing like a legend.
Yeah, getting so many vital procs right there, and he also has healing to start with. Already with the Vamp Scepter, I was very curious about that engage from the jungle and the support from FPX. Didn't think that was the best of plays, and W are going to get a lot from this. They're going to have a chance to chase down LWX here. You can see the E already used.
There's the slow. The final chapter comes in as well, forces away the flash, but Mystic follows up. LWX in a whole lot of trouble. Prowling Projectile Part 2. Here it comes. Electric Boogaloo. There goes LWX. Mystic 3-0-1 on this Ezreal.
FPX completely let go of the map trying to make that play happen in the top side, and it's still going to go on. Chris has nowhere to go. Can they actually kill xiye before help comes in?
This is the fight that never ends, Clement. WE coming in, Pop Blossom won't find anyone. Teleport comes in from FPX. They may be able to find something here. Doinb with a beautiful ultimate. Requiem coming in as well. Mystic gets shut down. Missing in a whole lot of trouble because xiye went golden, but xiye will be the last fatality in this fight as Missing wanders away.
And the hunters become the hunted there. Having to face check into Doinb is still a very difficult task, and he's able to burst down the correct targets first. Takes down xiye, and they also have Requiem. So essentially that turned out to be a 4v3. I thought W were still going to be able to snowball the map, but they had help from other parts of the map.
Clement, it felt like that was the fight that just never ends. It kept going on and on. We have been seeing constant action around the top lane at this point. There's no objectives left up there, guys. Try and figure something else out. But at the moment, Dragon not going to be up for another 4 minutes. Baron spawning in 2. But that doesn't feel like what they're going for at this point. And now with the shutdown on the Mystic, at the very least, there's some more gold in FPX's pockets. They've kept the gold lead at the 2.4K. Let's see how this started again with the post pick.
This is a top lane solo kill. You can see GimGoon doing what a good player should do against any Fiora pick, is just try to hide those vitals inside terrain. But unfortunately for him, he's just too far behind at this moment. He can't really fight it. Even though he was able to wait out the grand challenge with a new vital there, he still goes down. And let's look at this fight. Doinb gets the stun onto xiye, bursts him down quite early into the fight. Actually takes Mystic down first because xiye does have that Zhonya's. And Mystic's like, you know what? I'm leaving here. That's what a good cat should do. Essentially turning into a 4v3 on the top side.
Just like every cat I've ever owned. Really doesn't care about the owner once you stop feeding it. But now FPX trying to reset a little bit of the tempo here. It looks like WE are positioning really aggressively in the top side blue jungle. At this point, what are they looking to do?
I think they can still play a 1-3-1, but they need to be very careful about the way they start these engages. The only people that should be face-checking on this team, I think, are Pose. It's because Pose does have that ability to at least riposte the early portion of the damage. If it's anyone else, they should try to refrain from using Mystic and xiye as bush checks. Those are not going to survive very long. The burst potential on FPX is still insane.
Tan's still scaling, of course. He does have his Runic Echoes. He's working towards the Morellonomicon as well. So a lot of damage potential comes out from this team, but we also talked about the scaling on the side of WE, so it really just feels like FPX are stuck between a rock and a hard place at this point, as the red jungle of their own side of the map is no longer theirs.
Yep. If you look at the scaling portions, I think Ezreal will outscale Lucian quite heavily. And at the meantime, Fiora's, that matchup is going to get worse for GimGoon as time goes on. So WE can safely play a 4-1 composition. I like that they're not stretching themselves into the 3-1. xiye will not fare well against Doinb in open terrain. So this is exactly how I think WE should continue the match. What I want to see, if there will be willing to do, is if they're going to do a bottom lane 4-man and a top lane 1-man. Excuse me, a top lane 4-man and then a bottom lane with post. That's technically the best way to play a 4-1. You pull FPX further away from Baron as far as possible and try to find opportunities to take it.
Good light bind in there. Flawless duet, not going to land on the beishang. There's the Vanguard's edge. Forces the flash away. Teleport coming in as well from Post. But it looks like FPX are getting routed at this point. LWX incredibly low. xiye gets the root down. Gets the kill. Might be able to get a second one here. Tain in a whole lot of trouble. Death defied. but can you find a kill? Tain, the Requiem should take beishang down. The smite, Doinb goes in, tries to get the kill. The last chapter, the shields, the healing. It doesn't matter. The final spark gonna spell the end for beishang. Now Missing gonna jump back into Mystic, and now the Prowling projectile is there for the slow. So many slows coming out. Post chasing in as well. Flashes over the binding. Post is just playing like a monster this game, and they will be rewarded with a kill onto Doinb and the kill onto Crisp in just a few seconds here. There is no way this support is making out of this one alive. 4-1-3 is this Fiora.
And we have Post roaring back into form. He was sat out the last game for 9-5-7, but this time he's able to find that teleport difference between himself and GimGoon. Cashes out on it perfectly. I like this WE. I like the way that they're playing. They have a good composition to play for. That's a great 4-1 composition. They're scaling components for Mystic to really rely on, and they're doing great in the early skirmishes. This is the WE that we wanted to see. They might not have won a match so far, but at least they satisfied our questions. They were able to come out with a cohesive composition. They're able to play towards the strength of Mystic.
Now Mystic 5-1-2 on this Ezreal. He's picked up the Lost chapter as well, but let's take a look at that fight again. They start with this pick.
Yeah, the key problem here with this fight is how quickly the backline from FPX was exposed. So if you look at LWX here, he takes 4 Mystic shots in a row, and easy follow-up from xiye, gets the double, and that's just 2 dead from FPX. I feel like FPX did try to over-chase a little here. Doinb trying to get themselves back in the situation. Great exhaust there. They do find this solo kill, but look at the members on the map here. GimGoon can't actually rotate towards this side of the map. He was trying to. This is effectively a 5v4 on the top side. Pose uses his teleport to get into position. Great flash from him, dodges a CC, and they chase down 2 extra kills. So in terms of map play, in terms of individual mechanics, W are just hammering this game home against FPX.
And I know Missing, just looking at his summoner spells, you'd say he isn't the flashiest player, but I think he played absolutely incredibly in that last fight because he had perfect timing on the exhaust. He waited for Mystic, jumped back onto him. He stalled that fight out for so long and allowed Post so much freedom in the fight as it did for Mystic, just by baiting with the Yuumi, just by being there. And now Mystic has picked up the Luden's Echo. Even more potential in these fights, even more potential in Poke. Baron has just spawned. There is the potential for WE to start taking it.
It's a lot of damage being done by WE's side. If they can just find 2 Mystic shots on LWX, and they can force him home quite easily. It's going to be difficult for LWX to ever hold his wave at the river. And that just gives W so much time to then rotate towards the Baron like they're doing right now. You can see FPX, they know if they go into that open terrain, they're going to be chased down. Fiora also has priority in her lane in the bottom side. Oh my god.
Jesus, that is so much damage there into Crisp. And this is exactly what we wanted to see from WE when we got into this position, right? You have the 4-1, you have the Fiora on the bottom lane split pushing. My god. True Shot Barrage chunking LWX down to half. And that's going to mean the tower here for WE. They are running away with this game at this point.
They're going super aggressive in the mid lane, and I like that idea. It was a 4v4 in the mid lane. As soon as they see Doinb clearing top, they're just like, guys, we can push this advantage. We can go super aggro. All this time, you see Mystic. He's arcane shifting forward. Missing just gives you so much survivability on the Yuumi that allows you to play this way in a super aggressive way. Now what FPX can do is that they need to reset the bottom wave. Hopefully GimGoon does have the teleport over Missing in these next couple of minutes. So what they want to do is they want to find that 5v4 in the mid side where they can hopefully snowball a team fight and get that Baron, but not if Doinb does this.
Yeah, Doinb looking in a little bit of trouble. Here comes the teleport. There goes the advantage, but they might be able to turn it into a kill still. GimGoon pops the ult. They're looking for beishang. Requiem comes in as well. Goes golden. Pop Blossom doesn't land onto anyone. beishang in a lot of trouble, but he is running away. xiye under tower at risk from GimGoon. Goes golden at the right time, and WE may have made it out of this one alive.
Down.
LWX got taken out by Missing of all people. Look at the bottom lane tower as well. Doinb, this is not worth it. You're losing an inhibitor tower. You're going to be losing the Baron. GimGoon looking for the pick onto Missing. He's incredibly low, but he still has Missing. Not for much longer. The shutdown. Missing in trouble as well. Teleport's coming in. Won't be able to find it in time. xiye not there to save Missing just fast enough. The double kill coming in for Tain, and this may be the game turned around here for FPX as the Baron begins.
And that was quite unnecessary from the bottom lane for WE. If you think about the map, they have a top lane unopposed, take an inhibitor. They can allow FPX to go on that Baron. They're a po composition. They didn't need to be in that situation whatsoever. And just look at the HP bar here. She is coming in, does have the Pop Blossom, but what can he do?
Not going to find anyone. Tain already went golden. Good stopwatch usage there. There goes xiye, and there goes the Baron. FPX going to pick this one up, and after being down for almost the entire game, they've picked up the Baron. They've evened out the gold to just a 3K lead.
That was such a throw from WE's bot lane. If they just held onto the position, LWX was down. You have that person pushing down. So no need to ever come here, but first let's watch how LWX actually fell. A 3v2 scenario, he isn't hit by the slow. How does he actually die here? Zoomies takes Mystics out. He still has a rub buff, healing up. LWX lands one. Oh my god. Okay. I thought he was out of range from the Prowling projectile. Mystic says no and finishes him off. That was insane, person.
Well, that's the power that comes in with this Ezreal combo, and that's the scaling we were looking for. Mystic almost has the Gunblade completed. He's got the 3 items. Gunblade, of course, with the AP build, just gives you a little extra oomph. Now WE going to be able to pick up the Ocean Drake at this point. It will be their 3rd dragon of the game. Baron buff, though, 2.5 minutes remaining here for FPX. I want to see what they can do with it. Clement, where should they go?
The key point on the map for them is actually getting this Aurelia ahead enough where Doinb will be able to do something against Pose. I think that's the key break point they're looking for. But right now, they're just going to get tower gold here. They know that Pose isn't here to defend. Hopefully, they can go WE into a 5v4 team fight and then try to turn it. That's their best case scenario.
Everyone from WE jumps in. They found the Vanguard's edge. Doinb starts off the fight beautifully. Missing goes down. Beishang under tower, under threat, but Mystic goes down as well, and WE are throwing this game.
I just talked about FPX's best case scenario, and that was it. I have no idea why WE was trying to chase that. I don't think WE knows how to play the 4-1. If they just stay put right there, it would have been fine. They didn't need to chase. They needed to keep themselves close enough to stop the backs from FPX, but that was just throw after throw.
2 people remaining onto WE. Beishang goes in. I don't know if that's what he wanted. Post still alive, but not for much longer. He's about to be taken out. Riposte not going to save you from that. The shutdown. And FPX in 28 minutes turn a game. They were losing by all rights.
At the end of it, FPX still understand their compositions better. It's always very difficult to play the 4-1 composition when you have a Korean side laner who might not speak the language as well. That's my only excuse that I'm going to have for WE, because those last 2 team fights were complete throws. They were completely unnecessary. I really don't know what WE were thinking about. My only explanation is maybe the language barriers, maybe they just don't play this composition that well. But if you look at the gold graph from 24 minutes on, 5.7k ahead, they had a great chance at Baron. Last 2 team fights, they give up everything. They willingly walk into 5v4s.
This is so frustrating. I like to call this gold graph the iceberg, because all of it's under, and then suddenly it's back above water, because FPX were never in a leading position this game. At 3 minutes, they had a gold deficit. That's where it started. It never stopped the entire game, except the very last few seconds because of those 2 last team fights. And for WE, I don't even want to praise FPX for this game, because from them, I felt like the early game was far too sloppy for me to be like, yes, congratulations FPX, but WE, those were some big throws.
They definitely were. I just don't understand what WE were thinking about. It was a great way to end the game from Chris by just hiding on the top side and then coming in with the crowd control. But you need to recognize your win conditions. You have Pose open in the side lanes. Both times they had Fiora split pushing on an inhibitor. You don't need to chase there. What's the point of chasing? If you chase, you're in a 4v5. You need to stop the backs, yes, but you have Yuumi, you have Ezreal to do that. There's no need to go after these targets the way that they did. This is beyond disappointing, and I hope that WE can at least sort through their problems. It was a situation where if you just did not greed for everything on the map, then you were guaranteed to come out ahead. Take the stable win, draw the game out, and just close in from there. There's no need to chance 4v5s all the time.
I will say, for FPX, this is impressive in that they know exactly when to pull the trigger. They know exactly how they can get back into a game when they're losing it. What I'd like to see next is they just don't start losing it.
I will say that this game, there were still a lot of mistakes from FPX. I think the 2 crucial in the last 2 team fights, both times you saw LWX actually just being taken out for like very little actually gained. So that's the first issue. They do need to pay more attention to the back line and make sure that they don't give W these wide open chances to close in on the game. And the second thing for me is I don't think this is a suitable composition for FPX. I'm not sold on the Karthus. I still don't know what the Karthus was supposed to do here. Maybe try to equalize on the scaling potential from both teams. But it just doesn't feel like FPX style. It feels very weird when you don't see a Doinb and Tain synergy game. Instead, it's them playing apart from each other. It's Doinb doing the dives and Karthus say, I'm going to farm up, but Requiem's going to be there.
I'll help, I swear.
Yeah, so I feel like this is a trial game from FPX, and hopefully they will move back to something that is more dominant from start to finish.
Well, a shaken up composition ends in a shaky win for FPX at the 28-minute mark, but we'll see if they can keep their 0-game losses continuing and maybe pick up the 2-0, or if WE fight back in game number 2. We'll be back in just a few minutes.